Good afternoon. Do you like my glasses? Sorry. Basically, yes. I'm still excited about them. But what excites me less, I wanted to demonstrate to you that I have an ID card. I really do. It was given to me when I was about a month old in 1950. And in that time, everybody had to have an ID card in the UK, including the baby, or about 1 month old. And you say, well, why? Well, we'd just come out of a war and we maintained these ID cards for a period of time after the war. This was 5 years after the war already. So eventually they were shut down and put away. Now, I wonder why that was. Why they didn't continue the war emergency and just make ID cards permanent. Well, it's to do with freedom of the individual and the citizen. And we are not citizens, actually. We are subjects of the crown. The queen or the crown are where we bow our knee to. I don't particularly want to, because I think they're an anachronism, but I don't think there's anything else that can replace them. I figured it out once day. Financially, they're cheaper to keep and put the president in place, and we end up with somebody like Trump. Who would want that? Exactly. So at the end of the day, we are subjects of the crown. So we're not citizens. So why the hell do we need an ID card now? The puerile excuse that Starmer's come up with is just completely and utterly ridiculous. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not going to stop illegals coming across. Oh, it might stop them. Would it? No, because they are being told the streets are paved with gold when they come over here, and that's where they've got to go, London or wherever. They might even have family over here that are encouraging them to get the quick trip across the channel. I think the first positive thing I've seen done is what Shaban Thingy Home Secretary has just done in saying you can't stay and bring in additional family, even if you're given citizenship rights. That's fine, but I'd like to see a little bit more. I won't make this statement now. I have nothing wrong with people immigrating to this country. It's flattering that people want to come here. This must be a good-looking country out there in the world for people to want to get on a bus and come here on a plane or whatever. But those immigrants have really got to contribute, I think, with high levels of skill, etc., not become food delivery drivers. That is taking the mickey. And we know they will get these benefits and all this kind of stuff. They have to, for God's sake. They have to be looked after. In the interim between arriving on the beaches and then going down and being extradited back out of this country. The one that they've extradited. So at the end of the day, we need a lot more stronger leadership on this. And quite frankly, the way Starmer tried to use this as a weapon against Nigel Farage, who's not a particularly favourite of mine, but I tell you what, he's more of a favourite of mine now than Starmer is. He really backfired. I found out today that the Labour Party have lost another 5% off of their ratings. They're down at 20, just slightly above the Tories. And for God's sake, the Reform Party, Reform Party, guess where they are? 30. And if we had I tell you what, I believe next year's midterm elections, if you want to call it that, but whatever, is going to be quite interesting when Farage does his thing. And guess who I'm going to be voting for? No, you won't guess, because I probably won't vote at a protest. But that's not the point. The point is what worries me about the Reform Party is their lack of knowledge about managing a country. But then why should I worry? The Labour Party is just the same. They're absolutely useless. So why don't we write, so that isn't any barrier to us voting for Reform Party, even if they do appear not to have the experience. At least they've got the enthusiasm and belief in the British citizenship and belief in Britons and not hate them like Starmer and his crew. Because remember, Starmer didn't write that speech. He wrote some of it, but a lot of it was written by his cohort. the people that sit around, his staff, chief of staff, and stuff like that. These are the guys that are not. They don't want us to be free. They don't want us to actually get out there and enjoy ourselves. These are the people that put ID cards in place to absolutely reduce our future. It was a dystopian future. We won't be able to leave the house because that ID thing will track us, and it will track us all over the place. So if we are full, I'm going to completely, latterly refuse to do it, to the point where they can take me to court and fine me, because I refuse to have my digital handcuffs stuck on me for doing nothing except existing in this country. This guy will have to go. And at the same time, on top of everything else, the next insult is they've got Tony Blair's son organising all the computing behind it via Oracle, the great big American database company. Who I love their database. It's quite a cool piece of software. But they got 4 or 5 of the big gigs databases already with the government. Well, we don't want Fujitsu because look how they screwed up the post office stuff. But at the end of the day, this data is going to sit on these databases and will become accessible to hackers. We do not wish to be hacked by the Chinese and have my personal information stuck on a checkerboard somewhere inside a Chinese database and then be attacked personally by some sort of malware, because that's what they'll do. Instead of bombing us, they'll screw over our phones and our computers. Beware, people. ID cards are such a bad idea, it should not even have been thought of. Spread the word. Get out there. Tell the people we don't want them. Refuse them. Don't take them up. Take care.